sequence ready.
I never felt like I've left the entertainment industry and moving to Web3. I feel like I'm one that is trying to redefine it. If I don't sit there and go, that's it, man, that is fucking it. It's not walking out the door. If you feel great and you think you've done everything you possibly can, then you leave it to the world to determine if it's going to be successful or not. And that's what we're doing in Web3. We've been told, the movie studios to the Web3 industry itself, that there is no company in the world like Orange Comet now. We're looking to be a multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company. Period, end of story.
I haven't seen anybody coming through Web3 the way you guys do it.
We got involved in an amazing project with a British boy. His name is Joe Whale. I think I have the opportunity with Joe to make the next Pixar type movie, and all off of the mind and the work of a wonderful 13-year-old artist.
How do you find the bandwidth to do all these damn projects?
If I set out to do something, I get it done. And I'm not gonna fail here. There's no fucking way I'm gonna fail. I don't feel like I've reached my potential, and that's what's driving me. Tell kids and even grad students, they've gotta find something that they believe in, first and foremost. You know, people say, passion's bullshit. No, it's not. It's not. It drives everything. It just does, man. Once you make that decision to do something and pursue something, and you gotta go, or you gotta get out. You don't know what tomorrow holds. Don't you wanna try and live out your potential, find the happiness? We need to find inside of each of us what ultimately is gonna make us happy, and try and pursue that.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is... This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is David Broome, the former television and film producer, content creator, and Web3 entrepreneur. You have spent the last 25 years of your life producing award-winning television and documentary shows, featuring some of the biggest names in Hollywood. You were the creator and executive producer of NBC's global hit series, The Biggest Loser, and worked alongside Sylvester Stallone to produce the first ever unscripted series on Netflix. More recently, you filmed and produced the Jennifer Lopez documentary, Halftime, which premiered at this year's Tribeca Film Festival and is one of the most successful documentary features in Netflix history. Today, you've taken your many years of experience into the world of Web3 and NFTs as the co-founder and CEO of Orange Comet. Your goal is to build the Disney of Web3 entertainment, educate people about NFTs in the metaverse, and onboard millions of new users into this exciting ecosystem. David, welcome to London Real.
Brian, first of all, thank you. It's great to be here. Second of all, that might be one of the best intros I've ever heard on me. I need that. I'm going to take that and rip that off word for word because it's spot on and I love it.
Well, it's you, so that's the beautiful thing about it. Look, I'm excited to go deep today. I just want to say that we are super excited to have you here because Orange Comet is also one of our portfolio companies here at London Real Ventures, where our mission is to transform the world by investing in cutting-edge digital asset ecosystem protocols while giving our partners marketing exposure across all of our London Real media platforms and academies. Our aim is to heighten awareness, create customers, build communities by leveraging our global audience and extensive network. David, you have no idea how excited we are to be part of this journey with you and Orange Comet, all of our members, all of our investment club people. So let's jump in.
That means a lot to me, by the way.
We really are, man.
I really appreciate that.
We're all in on you and Orange Comet, and we're super pumped. So let's jump in. We got so much to talk about.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to start with, how does a successful Hollywood executive. You basically could have done anything you want with your life and your career, but you jump into Web3, blockchain, the metaverse, this crazy new world with all these crazy kids doing crazy things. We jumped in a couple years ago. Why do that? Because you could have done anything you wanted in Hollywood. Why?
It's a good question. You know, because I get asked that a lot, but I looked at Web3 several years ago, and it was a head scratcher for me. I saw the blockchain technology. I saw how it could be a game changer. But what I started to look around the landscape, what I saw was, if I'm politically correct, I would say mediocre content, average, mostly below average. And let me just even be honest, I'll just say junk. Not from digital artists, because art is art. And you've got to put that aside. But when you start looking at intellectual properties in the world of entertainment, TV, film, TV and movies and music and sports, which were making their way into the blockchain and Web3, it was just a regurgitation of shit. It was just like, well, why do you need an NFT of that? Why does that need to be on Web3? Why does that have to be on the blockchain? And what I started to realize was, wait a minute, isn't this world, or shouldn't this world also be a content play? Isn't this about, you know, we know that the cliche is content is king, right? So why wasn't that happening on the blockchain? Why wasn't that happening in Web3? And that's how I made the transition, where I saw that I've been a TV and film producer for nearly 25 years, creating a high-end. I built a 3D digital design studio with our Chief Creative Officer, Dante Farini, for more than 20 years. How do we move that into Web3? How do we bring excitement and engage a fan through the content play? And so it wasn't that much of a leap when you think about it. It is in what most people are doing in Web3, because they're not thinking content. They're thinking speculative. They're thinking about, you know, the utility and community to projects, which are important, by the way, but they're not thinking what's maybe driving that first and foremost. And to me, it was, shit, should an NFT or Web3 be any different than a great movie or a great song or a great poem or a great book? No. And that's how I made the move over.
And it shows right away, like when we started seeing the content you produce. And for anybody watching us, just hold on, because we're going to be showing off some of your work.
Some cool stuff.
You know, right away, you're like, wow, okay, these guys are here to create something amazing, beautiful, that's I'm going to want to have for the rest of my life.
Right.
Like, this is something I want to own, I want to collect, I want to watch, I want to rewatch. It wasn't something that felt like it was being created to sell and then sell more.
That's right.
And it's weird. You can feel that within the first 5-10 seconds.
I appreciate that. And look, not just that. What we want to do is have it be serve a purpose. So the content is building to something larger, greater. Whether it's a Web3 game, we bought a Web3 gaming company this past year, Mint State Labs, and brought them into Orange Comet. We saw this as driving and engaging fans in a different way. And that is the perspective that I believe needs to take over for Web3. So it builds and expands the base beyond the enthusiasts, which are critical. You have to still appeal to the Web3 enthusiasts. But the question is, how do you get an everyday fan of The Walking Dead or an entertainment property to come into this space? Because it's so new, right? We're in a nascent industry, but the opportunity is so massive. But what's going to drive them? What's going to excite them? You know, it's not just going to be about a piece of work that you say, well, this is a drawing of something, and by the way, now you're part of the club. I don't think that's it. I think it's more like I'm engaged in a different way as a fan, and now I can up my fandom in a way and get into the world of Web3, which is what we're looking to do. We're looking to bridge the gap by taking massive entertainment properties and bring the everyday fan and still appeal to the crypto and core enthusiasts already in this space.
And you're doing it fast, because I first saw your NFT pieces, and then I kind of blinked my eyes, and you had acquired Mint, and you're all of a sudden building metaverses. So these NFTs now plug into these massive metaverses, and I've seen them. We're going to show a few clips later, but you're already going into that phase
in a big way, because the virtual world, you know, this metaverse is an interesting term, because I'm not I'm not necessarily a big fan of it because I think it's a little confusing for the everyday person. Like, what's the metaverse? You know, where does this shit live? What do I? How do I get there? You know, and so people don't. I'm trying to dumb it down and say, look, these are virtual environments, and we're living in a digital world, a digital age. You know, who we are, what we are on social media. Our representation is no different than what we are in real life. You're a beautifully dressed man wearing a 3-piece suit with a gorgeous tie. I'm the guy wearing a John Varvatos, you know, cashmere sweater. This is who we make a statement about ourselves. So being in the virtual world also is a statement of ourselves, right? So we want these platforms to basically be easy to get into as a general fan of the space, not feel like, oh my God, I got to understand what a metaverse is all about. You know, that's scary stuff for a lot of people.
Yeah, that word metaverse is not necessarily the right word. Even the word NFT is not the right word to describe what these things are. So
no,
it's going to be a different process of communicating, maybe new language, you know, moving forward.
That's right.
Let's talk about Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Okay.
Because he is one of, you know, Britain's, you know, most incredible actors. And he's in his 80s.
84, I think.
84. And yet,
or maybe 85.
He recently did something that you would expect, you know, kids in their teens to do.
That's right.
Which is to jump and really embrace Web3. And he did it with your support. Can you tell me the story of you working with Sir Anthony Hopkins and the drop you did and all the nuance around it? Because there was a real strategy to what you did from an education standpoint, from building audience. But I think it's a really interesting example and maybe a case study for anybody out there that wants to know the way to do this right and the way to do this wrong.
Well, yeah, look, Anthony Hopkins at 84, 85 is not the poster child of what you would think of in Web3 NFTs. But first and foremost, it's important to know that he was one of the first, if not the first, to do an NFT movie called Zero Contact. This took place during the pandemic. He was approached with this opportunity. So he was intrigued by the Web3 space. That's a really important starting point, right? Because you think about it, you want your celebrity partner or your IP partner to want to be in the space. You don't want to drag them into something. Right. Then it's round, you know, square peg, round hole. It doesn't work. And that I found that always to be the case. But besides being this iconic actor and this legendary actor, he's an artist. He's a real artist. His artwork sells for hundreds of thousands of dollars in some cases. So he's a guy who's authentic to the space to begin with, because Web3 and NFTs were created by, and first and foremost, for art, to show off digital art, to show off artists, to give them a new opportunity. So he and Aaron Tucker, who runs his art business, and his wife Stella, who is amazing in her own right, saw what was going on with Orange Comet and reached out to us and said, look, Tony, which is what he wants to be, you don't know what to call Sir Anthony Hopkins. Do you call him Sir Anthony? Do you call him Sir Anthony Hopkins? You call him Sir, you know, and what he'll tell you is, no, you call me Tony. So I said, I might have a tough time with that, Tony, but I'm going to do that. So he wanted to be known as Tony. We call him Tony. So I'm going to reference him that now. Look, I've had the fortunate in my career to work with some of the most incredible people, massive celebrities and incredible partnerships. Tony Hopkins is a once in a lifetime opportunity. He's a visionary. He's brilliant. He's got a perspective that's so unique. You could just sit there sitting across from him and just not say a word, just listen to him. And so he had a vision of what he wanted to do, and he was inquisitive about this space. That's fantastic. And so we said, look, you should start by putting it out in the world that you want to learn about Web3 and NFTs in a deeper way. You already made a movie. And he did. He went on his socials and said, I want to learn about digital art. I want to learn about NFTs. I want to learn more about Web3. And all of a sudden, people like Beeple and others in this space reached out to him. And they embraced him and basically said, welcome to the world of Web3, brother. Come on in. And that was the starting point. And while that was happening, what we did was we started to riff with him and say, what do you want to do? Well, forget what we would want you to do, because that doesn't matter. We'll execute together, but it's got to come from you. What's your idea? What are you passionate about? And what we came up with, or what Tony came up with, was we took his art. We wanted to take his paintings and find a new way, a new platform to explore them on, the blockchain. So we broke them down. We digitized them as a starting point. Then he was drawn by the kinds of archetypes of the characters that he's played in his films over his years. So not Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs, but the monster behind Hannibal Lecter. Mm-hmm. And that was a really interesting place to go. And we started looking at all the characters, from the rebel to the jester to the lover, and started putting these archetypes together. And when we started to blend the two, the idea really started to blossom. And the concept was to show Tony in a way that no one had ever seen. If I would say, hey, we're going to do an Anthony Hopkins NFT collection, we wanted the opposite of what would come to your mind in thinking what that would be. Be like, we never would expect this shit. And that's the idea. So we started to blend his artwork with these archetypes. And when you see these pieces, which by the way, sold out in 7 minutes in a bear market, in a crypto winter, which I hate that shit, but we talk about that. Sold out in 7 minutes.
How many pieces?
1,000 pieces. And each one was a unique one of one. But what people first were blown away by is when they saw them, they thought they were maybe just photographs of Tony's face. But they weren't. Dante and our creative team, they're all digitally created. It's all sculpted in digital. So when you look at Anthony Hopkins, I know you'll roll tape on this, none of it's real. It's not a photo, it's not a video, and people were just, their jaws dropped on that. And I think that, again, we're offering something of value to an enthusiast, to a fan, and that's a critical part of this. And that was the jumping off point. We called it the Eternal Collection. Now, I could tell you, we're about to now go to the next step with that, into the Descendants line, and this project continues to unfold with a lot of interesting surprises. We're kind of almost building a Marvel universe around Anthony Hopkins. So to summarize, you had an 84-year-old guy, passionate about this space, looking to maybe be immortalized himself on the blockchain, a real artist, got embraced by the community, and then we took it to a whole nother level with him. And that's the formula for success.
Wow, and it sold out in 7 minutes. 7 minutes. And like you said, what was probably, call it a whatever, bear market, crypto winter, and also probably at the same time, the worst time for NFTs. Sure on was. Top of that.
It was.
Right, and yet you guys sold it out, which shows that if you really cater to what a fan wants and give them something they want to collect as a piece of art and gives value to them, then there's always a demand for that.
Always a demand, because, you know, I know we'll talk about the Scottie Pippen project at some point, but when we were doing that tour, like a promotional tour with Scottie, and when we were in New York, Scottie and myself.
Let me play the Hopkins piece, and I want to get to Scottie because it's really good stuff. So we're going to roll tape. It's a minute, and it's showing a lot of the items in the Hopkins piece.
That's right. And we can talk over it.
Yeah, actually, we won't talk about this because it's got music.
You got audio.
We'll talk when it comes back. But one thing I always show when I show your stuff to all the people that invested, I always say exactly what you said. You guys created these digitally. Yeah. So he didn't have to sit for all these pictures and poses and video. You guys did it all because you have such an incredible background in creating all this digital art.
That's right.
Right. So think of that. And again, think in your mind what you thought would be the Anthony Hopkins NFT. And now watch this because, like you said, it's the last thing you'd expect.
Unexpected.
All right. So we're rolling this. This is the Anthony Hopkins collection.
Cool.
And so this is the first collection. Now this is going to be followed by subsequent, and I'm guessing there'll be airdrops and access for people that got the first one.
Right.
You're building a whole new universe for him on the blockchain, and he's 84, and you guys are just getting warmed up.
That's right. And you know, the interesting thing about those pieces is that we purposely want them digitally built. You know, to sculpt that, by the way, digitally sculpted, is a tremendous amount of work. It's very, very difficult to do this kind of level of work. You would think, oh, let's just go hire the greatest, you know, 3D animators or designers to put this. It's not easy. This is a team that's been with me for, the core team that's been with me for more than 20 years. So we built off of that. But you still don't want to make it look exactly like a photograph. You almost kind of want it to make it look like a hyper-realistic version. So you know that this is a digital asset, but still looks so real that, you know, it's almost like a great video game. Sometimes you see a character in a great video game, you're like, how the hell do they do that? That's fucking amazing. And that's what you kind of want now, and what we're doing in Web3 and creating those environments. So yes, this is the start of the next line, the iteration. We call it a family tree of the descendants off of this Eternal collection. So it's exciting stuff with him, and what's great about it is he's so passionate about it, and you can see that. And that's what you want. You must have that in these projects. That's what, look, I think that's what you need in life in general. Yeah. You know, if you're not passionate about it, don't do it, man. Get out.
Amen.
Get out. But when you're entering into partnerships with talent or intellectual properties, you want them to feel the same passion you are feeling about it. And that's the great thing about Tony, is he's, you know, I don't even have to ask him. He'll just post something on his own. He's feeling it himself. And that's, I think, what we need in Web3 in general.
Yeah, there's so many things missing in Web3, and you just pinpointed one that I haven't seen many other people connect with. And it's probably because your vast experience in Hollywood. You can't try to sell someone on it. You sure as hell can't pay them to do it, because you're just going to get a bad product at the end of the day. If they're not all in and passionate, what do they always say? The customer experience is a lagging indicator of company culture, and that's the same here. It's a lagging indicator of passion from the artist, right?
I would have, as a TV and film producer, I would have talent, celebrity talent, you know, A-listers come to me and sit down with me and say they want to get into a reality space, let's say, or a doc space or whatever. And they would ask me for, you know, what do I think about, what about this? Or, you know, they would ask me for the ideas basically to pitch to them. And I would stop them down. I say, well, listen, this is not about what I want. This is not about a format that I want to put you into. This is not about a show that I want to create around you. You need to tell me what you want. What's your vision? What do you care about? What are you passionate about? I'll tell you if I think I can make that into a hit television series or a documentary or whatever, but it shouldn't come from me. It's got to come from you. I'll do the execution in a way that you've never seen, but if it's not from your heart, if it's not something you feel, it's not something you're passionate about, and it's something I'm sticking you into, we're going to fail. And it's the same thing in Web3.
Wow, that's powerful. All right, let's talk about Scottie Pippen. All right, now I moved to Chicago in 1995 to work for the First National Bank of Chicago.
I didn't know that.
And at the time, I got to go to all the Bulls games. And
what year was it?
95. Okay. So I was there like 95 to 97, something like that. And I was at the game when Jordan came back. I was actually at the Bulls arena. And I just to see them out at night, and Rodman had just come in and he was owning this club. And so it was crazy.
It was a good time back then.
It was a good time back then, and it was epic. And then, of course, with the documentary, The Last Dance, we really got to learn more about who Scottie was as a person. Tell me what you've done with Scottie, because this is really interesting, because you threw a word at me about a month ago on one of our calls. You said, Brian, fidgetal, you said. So tell me, what did you do with Scottie, and what's happening?
Yeah, well, Scottie's a good example too. He came to us after seeing our work. His agent at WME, William Marson Dever, knew of us. I used to be a WME client as a producer. And he wanted to create an NFT sneaker line. Now, where was this coming from? Scottie had his own sneaker deal. He was an ambassador for Nike for years. had all kinds of sneakers that came out with them. And again, we've got a lot of calls from talent, IP, wanting to, they see our work, they're like, I want to partner with you. But if it's not coming from a place of authenticity, of passion and real genuineness, it's going to be tough. But because Scott, he knew nothing of Web3. He just knew the world and saw sneakers and was a sneakerhead, was someone who was, again, a Nike ambassador. So said, what would that be like for me on the blockchain? Wasn't like, Scottie Pippen doesn't need it for the money. He makes plenty of money and he's made plenty of money. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to make more or be successful. But I think a lot of this is about getting into a new area, getting into a new space. So because we knew at Orange Comet that we were going to be getting into the digital, and we can talk about that, the physical and digital world in a big way with our corrupted, and we'll talk about that, it was something that was interesting to us as well. Now, Scotty had no idea what the sneaker design would look like in the world of Web3. He left that to us, and we then bounced ideas off of him. So we thought we had something and thought we were going to be successful with him. We never thought that we would, after the Tony Hopkins success in 7 minutes, we broke a record on OpenSea, the platform where, the leading marketplace, right? We sold Scottie Pippen, we sold 1,000 sneakers. Every shoe was different. Every one was a different digital design. No two are alike. We dropped him in December. Again, bear market, crypto winner. We sold him out in 77 seconds. I thought there was a glitch when I was watching it happen, unfold in real time. But again, when we went out on the road with Scotty, and Scotty and I started doing some interviews in press, and we went on places like the Complex, which is an online YouTube channel and for sneakerheads. He was able to speak from a place of authenticity. The NFT collection became an organic part of the conversation. And that was what's so critical here. So we can talk more about the specifics of the collection itself, because there is a physical product. His number's 33. So of the 1,000 shoes, 33 people randomly are getting a real world Scottie Pippen sneaker from the NFT itself. And that's where you're seeing the world of digital and fashion go, where they're blending physical and blending digital, and those worlds are colliding and connecting in wonderful ways. And that's what we're able to do with Scotty.
And the community, they know if there's a connection to the creator, and they can tell Scotty is not just creating something to just sell as many as he can and move on. He really is passionate. And in this space, that creator community connection is so crucial.
No one wants the money grab. If they feel like they're going for a money grab, then they know you're just in it and you're out. And by the way, there are a lot of people. There are these day traders and flippers in this space. I'm looking to take the speculative play out of NFTs and Web3. I don't like it. I hate it. In fact, I can't stand it. I don't think this is about making money. If you want to make money as a day trader flipper, fine. But my goal as the CEO of Orange Comet is not to try and make you money, believe it or not. My goal is to create something that blows you away. Apple doesn't sit there and say, how do we go make our stockholders, our shareholders money? They say, how do we make a phone that is so amazing that it changes the world, which then in turn makes their shareholders money? And that is my goal as CEO of Orange Comet. How do we make a product? How do we put something out that's so amazing that engages you? And that's exactly where it was with Scotty. We said, let's put something out that is so great, so spectacular, so cool, so dynamic in its design and its function. And when I say function, every one of those NFT sneakers is a digital asset that's game ready. What do I mean by that? You can take a Scottie Pippen sneaker right now and flex your mod in Grand Theft Auto, as an example, You can wear that sneaker in the game, drive around, do whatever you want, and you're in a Scottie Pippen sneaker that you bought as an NFT from us. That's what I'm talking about. NFTs are a basement floor to a much bigger play for us.
Yeah, and I've seen those NFTs being worn by somebody in Grand Theft Auto, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And like you said, you get physical sneaker, and I think a small percentage of those people actually get to hang out with Scottie.
They do. Well, the utility in the community is an exciting part of Web3 and NFTs. And you're seeing that. You know, there is this, it's a way of, again, engaging fans, bringing them into a world where you're sharing thoughts, ideas, experiences together. So in the Scottie Pippen, and in the Anthony Hopkins, by the way, you know, we're about to do
Zoom calls with Anthony.
Yeah,
right?
you do it.
Tony.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing a Zoom call. How amazing is it to buy into an NFT, come into the community, and then do a Zoom call, which I was part of, with these fans for the Anthony Hopkins, or in Scottie Pippen's case, play around the golf with him. These are things that money can't buy, opportunities. And I think that's the exciting part of NFTs and Web3 is you want to try and create those things that it's just, you can't buy this. You just become part of it and hope that it falls into the larger picture of what the community that you're building is all about.
So epic. All right, I'm going to play the video, the mothership one from Scottie.
Yeah.
And then we'll play the shoe one.
Again, all in 3D digital design in-house.
Okay, so this is all 3D digital design in-house.
You know, everything we make is only in-house. This is all an in-house team that we do.
All right, here it is. Check it out. So we saw the mothership here. Yeah. I guess this is kind of the start of what you might be doing with Scottie.
Yeah. Well, we like to, you know, I guess
setting
maybe
the scene a little bit.
I was going to say
fascinating
because it's my TV and film background and approach to Web3, which is how do we put out a trailer, a teaser?
Right.
How do you get people to get excited about what you're doing? And because I'm so proud of our work that Dante and our creative team are doing and the way we approach things, we put a teaser out first. And that mothership is the teaser. You know, it's the shoe being constructed through this, you know, gel and robotic arms and these beautiful boxes, these shoe boxes, these futuristic boxes that we design that take off out of the mothership and enter the galaxy, which is, again, telling a story. Yeah. The way I approach all of our NFT and Web3 projects is I'm a storyteller. You're a storyteller. So why should it be any different in NFTs and Web3? We should be telling stories. There's a beginning, middle, and end. There's a beginning, middle, and end to the NFTs we're doing. That's our approach. It's not like you can't just do something that's cool or looks cool. There's got to be a purpose to it. It's got to fit into something larger. So that mothership piece is the story in a small little 50-second form.
It's so important. And like I caught a bunch of cues there. It's like, oh, and it's being blasted off, and where is it going?
Right.
Where is this mothership? So you're already starting to get me curious about that.
That's
I'm
right.
guessing you'll call back to that stuff in the future.
That's right.
And future collections, and you're starting to tell a story.
Beyond that is, you know, we're about to do this Corrupted, which we can talk about, which is our own lifestyle brand. It's Orange Comet's entry into our own original brand, and along with these collaborations, these fashion collaborations we're going to be doing. But that when that mothership door opens up, that's kind of like the Orange Comet factory that we're building, this futuristic factory. So there's some hints and real purposes to all these pieces. And it's fun because we're able to just explore in our heads, like, Imagine the factory. It's a meta this. And you know, it's the same thing when you're just sitting there and you're crafting a story, you're writing, you're building pieces to a puzzle, and teasing an audience, and you know, and keeping them excited and engaged. What's about to come next? So that's what we did with Scotty.
It's interesting because the reason we love Scottie Pippen is because we fell in love with his story.
Yeah.
Same with Sir Anthony Hopkins, whether it's an individual story or the stories that he's starred in. And yet, typically in Web3, when they go to create an NFT, they just think, okay, I'm going to make a digital sneaker, and they forget the story component.
That's right.
And they probably don't have a long game or a strategy, or it's not going to be a part of something. And so we get these flat things that, yeah, they're digital goods.
Right.
Maybe you can use them in metaverses, but you feel like, you know, is
right.
that it?
There's something missing.
There's something missing.
Right. In most of the cases, there's something missing. And look, I'm seeing more creators now trying to find the story and trying to build around the story, which I'm incredibly excited about. I want to encourage others. You know, all ships rise. And so the one good thing about a crypto winter is it gets the junk and the crap out. The pretenders, the fake people who are not in this space for the long run, they're gone. They are the money grabbers. You know, they're the people who came into the internet in the 90s, in the early days, made a quick buck, and are gone. And what comes out of it? The unicorns. You get the eBays and the Amazons and the Yahoos and whoever else are there that rise off of the technology. And that's where I think we are in Web3. So bringing story to this, bringing quality to this, bringing great content to this, bringing quality communities and utilities, that's a critical part. And real players right now, London real players are doing real great things in the world of Web3.
Yeah, people. That's why people in the space love the winter, because they get to see.
That's right.
Who really is in and who's got the long-term.
Doesn't greatness comes so often out of adversity? It forces you to either sink or swim. And the ones who sink were never there to begin with to be the players, for the most part. Listen, sometimes, you know, good people, good groups, good companies get caught up in bad times. But if you've got something of quality, if you've got something that is truly a potential game changer in the space, this is the opportunity right now.
We got another short video of the Scottie Pippen shoe. What are we about to see? You're
about to see one of the sneakers itself. So as I said, every shoe, 1,000 pairs to do the digital creations. There's not any that are alike. We spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, and more than that, in thousands of dollars, to do the digital rendering. So the work that is behind this is very intricate. So you're about to see one of the sneakers being made as an NFT, and no two are alike.
Here we go. Here it is. It's still hard to believe that each one of these is unique.
Yeah.
Nobody is putting that amount of time and effort into those things, because previously people were saying, is this cost effective? And again, this isn't right now, because you have a long-term vision.
That's right. You know, look, Amazon for years didn't make money, you know. But
almost a decade.
Yeah,
yeah.
But they were building. And it's not that Orange Comet's not making money. We are, but we're investing. And that is the important part. For us, it's creating the world, it's creating the space, it's doing the quality of work that we're doing. It's showing everybody that where this could go and what we're building. And we're laying the foundation. This is the basement floor to much bigger plays of that we're building. We are building our metaverse, our virtual world that you're going to go into, and you're going to be able to maneuver down a hallway and go into the Scottie Pippen collection. Oh, and by the way, now I'm into the Anthony Hopkins. Oh, and not just that, I'm in the NFL Alumni Association's world that we're creating. So there's a whole rhyme and reason to this stuff. But first and foremost, you know, I used to, when I was editing my TV shows and films, It was a little fun thing that we had on the inside. It was called like the Broome goosebump is what we used to call it. What I was like a nickname for. Well, what does that mean? I would sit in an edit bay, editing one of our shows along with our team. And I needed to feel something. I needed goosebumps while I was watching down a scene. And it was like, does it move me? Am I inspired by it? Do I tear up on it? Do I laugh? How am I emotionally excited about that? And the same thing, I'm applying the same thing now into what we're building in Web3. If I don't feel it, if I don't sit there and go, that's it, man. That is fucking it. It's not walking out the door. It's not leaving. And it's a high standard, but again, as a creator, I think that's what I'm only interested in. You can't guarantee success. You cannot guarantee that. The only thing you can guarantee is your work, what you put out. How do you feel about it? So if you feel great and you think you've done everything you possibly can, then you leave it to the world to determine if it's going to be successful or not. But you can walk away going, I did it all. I left nothing on the table. And that's what we're doing in Web3. The worst feeling in the world, the worst in any space, is to sit there and go, oh, man, here's what we should have done. Man, I should have, if we only would have done that. Now, don't get me wrong, we're making mistakes. We make mistakes every day, Brian. That's good, because that means we're pushing it. We need to learn from those mistakes. But the product we put out at the end of the day, nothing is out the door unless it is chilling to us. And so that's what we're building with all these projects.
That's entertainment, and that shows where you guys come from.
Yeah.
You come from the entertainment industry, and I haven't seen anybody coming through Web3 the way you guys do it, and it shows in the product.
Yeah, we're told that.
And it shows that, and you just had a flashback. I heard an interview with Dana White recently, who runs the UFC.
UFC, yeah.
And he said, look, I'm going to put 20,000 people in a stadium. I'm going to put all the cameras. I'm going to pay all the fighters, la, la, la. The celebs are going to be front and center. And he said, all I want to give you is 2 or 3 holy shit moments.
Yeah.
He's like, that's my job, to give you that dose of adrenaline and panic and excitement and whatever that, no, you can't get anywhere else. And again, I got to compete with all the Netflix, all the this and the theme parks and all the other crazy stuff you do in your life. That's what I got to do. And that's why you keep coming back.
He's so right. He's so right.
And you just made me think of that, because you're thinking the same way.
Same way. I was talking last night at dinner to our Chief Technical Officer, Peter Morales, who ran Minstate Labs, our game company, our Web3 game company. And he said something really interesting to me I've never heard. We were talking about video games in general. And he said, do you know that a game, their goal is to try and deliver 7 seconds of the most memorable shit that you can ever get in a gameplay that keeps bringing you back. 7 seconds of a sequence. And I just thought about that and I said, wow, that never crossed my mind. It is that holy shit moment in a project, in a film, in a TV show, in a UFC fight, that you want to go back and say, that's why I'm coming back. And that's important. But you know what? For Dana or for us or for anyone it's hard to achieve that. You sit there and you say, well, how tough can that be? It's hard. It's hard. If it was easy, then everybody could do it. Everybody would do it. So getting those memorable moments, getting that chilling, goosebumpy effect on what you're doing is what we all should be striving for, because that's what you want at the end of the day. You want people to walk away and go, oh my God, this is incredible.
Yeah. I've had sitting in that chair some of the toughest guys in the world, guys like Nigel Benn, one of the...
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, visit our website londonreal.tv or click the link in the description below.